Right, so MK Dons versus Huddersfield Town. Let's get into this. It's going to be a big game. Um, they had a quite good start to the season, beating again AFC Wimbledon. Congratulations for that. Always good to see them lose. But joking aside, this is going to be a big game for the Dons, a big test for the Dons. Let's jump into it. So, guys, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. So we take on the Terriers. It's the first time these two sides meet since February 2016. We drew 1-1 then, and we obviously come back into this game on the back of a gut-wrenching 2-2 draw last week against Oxford United. Um, how are we feeling about this game? Obviously, we're unbeaten in 7, 4 draws, 3 wins, but it's 3 wins in 9. How are we feeling about this?
Harry, I'll let you go first, mate, if you want.
Okay, yeah. I think it will be a tough game. Similar to Oxford United, they're a good team. I think with Huddersfield Town, they underperformed last season in their opinion. They've got a new manager now, I believe. So whether he'll be able to get more points than, say, Lee Grant would have last season, we'll have to wait and see. I feel like both us and them could, it is possibility of playoffs for both of us come the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised. I think if we get, say, 10,000 people behind MK like we have done in the past, then I think it will create a good atmosphere, and with a good atmosphere, we tend to get a good game as well.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Yeah. How did you feel about it, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, like how Harry said, it is going to be a tough game. I mean, despite them not having the most difficult opponent last weekend, and they played with 10 men and they ended up scoring 3. And again, like Paul Warne has said, our opening few games are going to be difficult. So I'd be happy with a draw. It's a shame we didn't win against Oxford. However, I still feel like with as long as we can keep defensively sound, we've got the caliber to put up a good challenge for this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think both sides can score goals in this game. I'll be honest, right? I've asked you guys how you feel. I'm gonna tell how I feel now. I don't have the best feeling. Um, these guys make a good start in the league. They did so last season. They did so the previous season. They were fourth by January 2025. I think it was the previous season. Lee Grant, to be fair, did well to start with. Then it fell apart. And we're in the start of the season. They're going to be up for this. So we've got to be at our best, I think. I'm just I'm a bit cautious. I don't know. I think this could be a high scoring game. We could be up for it. They could be up for it. It's just who's going to be that little bit better. Yeah, I mean, what how do you guys think? How do you guys think about this?
Yeah, it's it is going to be difficult. I do agree. There is going to be goals scored in both sides, and I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a difficult one to predict, really, because we're not exactly at that point in the season where we can fully judge it.
yeah. I mean, Huddersfield, that will come to you as well, Harry. They come into this game in mixed form. Yeah, they've won 2, lost 2, drawn 4 of the last 8, and missed a defeat to Preston North End in the League Cup. But at the same time, you said not difficult opponents. It has been 7-0 in the last 2 league games in terms of an aggregate score. And Harry, you talked about the new manager. Martin Drury is in charge on a permanent basis. Obviously, Liam Manning had to go on compassionate grounds, and as Dons fans, we wish him the best. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think two players to watch out for will be Ben Riles. He seems to have had a good few months already at MK. I believe he's scored a few and assisted a few as well. Also, David Kasumo will be another player to watch for me. I feel like I always keep a closer eye on those players who are playing against their former side.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, they'll both be up for it, surely. I mean, two good players that we've seen. I do like Ben Wiles' drive, to be fair. But David Kasumu had a good season, and then went to Huddersfield Town, and now he's facing us.
Yeah.
You think they'll have good games, guys?
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to be more up for it then? Ben Wiles or David Kasumu? Who do you guys rate more? Obviously, both had good times at us at Stadium MK. At the same time, sentiment's going to go in the past, and they're both going to be out to win. Who would you say has got the better player out of the two clubs? Who would you say is better, Ben Wiles or David Kasumu?
Wiles, I think.
I'm gonna say Wiles because I've seen more of Wiles as in recently than I have of David Kasumu. I haven't exactly seen much of him recently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sorry we don't jinx it here. Obviously, Paul Warren's worked with Ben Wiles as well. David Kasumi's gone for a load of different managers. I don't see him scoring as many goals as I would say Ben Wiles did last season when he came to Dons. But at the same time, I always thought he was a good player, David Kasumu. And like I said, I like Ben Wiles' drive. We've needed a player like him to certainly accommodate. I know Liam Kelly's left now, but Ryan Wintle replaced him. We need Ben Wiles to play with him, I think. So yeah, let's get the best out of Ben Wiles, I think, tomorrow. But yeah, I do think we will see two sides up for this game. I'm a bit mixed. I've got a mixed feeling about this. Like I said, it's Huddersfield's third season back in League One has been relegated a couple of years ago, but and again they made solid starts, but they've had to settle for 67 points in a top 10 finish. Now, to be fair, that's not bad. We're playing against a good side, but they would have been so disappointed with the last two seasons, and they want to make it a hat trick of good starts as well. But there's a point I want to talk about next here. Huddersfield Town last season, despite their poor finish, scored 74 league goals last season. That's not bad, and only three teams scored more than them. And now that's actually, to be fair, that's promotion form in terms of attack. So I'll put it out to you guys. How do you think the Dons' defence are going to deal with Huddersfield Town's pretty solid attack?
I'd say we can. We've just got to keep our concentration because I feel like at Oxford we sort of just let it slip a bit, especially for that last goal. We sort of just let them come to us, and it was as soon as they were out on the wing, it was a bit like there's going to be a goal from this. And then the first goal we conceded against Oxford just seemed a bit of a miscommunication, sort of unorganised. So I'd say if we can stamp them out, it's none of the goals we've conceded is poor ability, poor skill to defend. It's just sort of silly mistakes, really, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, isn't it? I think you can say about the second goal as well. Harry, how do you see our defence performing? Do you think who do you think will play as well?
So, in terms of Huddersfield, I believe they've got a player called Joe Taylor because he was at Luton in the past, but I'm not sure who else plays up front nowadays. But yeah, obviously they've got a good sort of goal record. I think in terms of MK defence, I think it'd be Nelson, Good, and Ekapita. So same as last week. I feel like with Sanders, obviously he was in the team of the season last year, but maybe it's a step up too high. Who knows? I feel like in terms of our ring backs, hopefully we'll be able to deal with the press. I feel like Bramall and Jones will start. I think it's too soon to see Barnett play, but I do feel like he could be on the bench.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree with that. Speaking of Ryan Barnett, how do you feel about him as a player? Obviously, he had some good times with Wrexham. Would you call it another shrewd signing by Paul Warren?
Jamie, you
I'd,
first.
I'd say this is I'd say it's a good signing, definitely, because I mean it's proven that he's got caliber to get us up the leagues. So I think a loan deal as well was a good idea because I don't, of course, he's played 12 games with Wrexham in the Championship, and then I mean, of course, I haven't watched the games, but based off some of the stats I've seen, I don't think he's made too much of an impact in those 12. So I feel like bringing him on loan, we still get the most visibility without necessarily committing to more than just the season with the player.
Good point, actually. I think it's important that we don't spend too much as well. If it doesn't work out, he can go
Mm.
back. But yeah, it's a good point. 12 games for Wrexham in the Championship. I mean, Paul Warne clearly means business. It's, I would say. I mean, Harry, how do you think this sign is going to go
Well,
for us?
it's a strange one, really, with the right back, sort of right wing back position. Obviously, we've had Jones, sort of the last year, League One sort of standard, played for Bolton with Aaron Collins.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't know what happened to Kane Wilson, because I remember he played against Grimsby. He sort of looked lightweight, and then he never sort of
Covered.
come back. I think he got injured, and then he got injured again, and now he was meant to be back, and now he's got
Yeah,
injured
I
again.
think I saw something recently, how he's had another setback in his injury, so it's a bit of a question mark of when he will return.
It's a
Yeah,
shame, really.
that's why
Yeah.
I think Barnett's come on loan to see how it goes, to see if Kane Wilson will
Yeah, I
ever
mean,
return, because
we're
I feel like,
definitely in need of some depth in the wing backs.
yeah, I feel
Mm.
like if Wilson makes a return, then it will be Wilson and Jones, possibly Barnett if Wilson's back before the season ends. But yeah, we'll have to see. I feel like the left wing back position could do with possibly one more. I know got Sam Sevilla.
Guevara.
Yeah, he seems okay, but I don't think he played against Oxford. So
Yeah, he seemed
No, I
injured, I
don't think he
think.
did.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see for him. I mean, it's going to be a tough one because I mean, a player I think we need to talk about is Gethin Jones, because I said in my review of last week that Oxford United game that we drew, and I know he played his part in Oxford United's equaliser, but before that, that was the best I've seen him play for Dons. His quads were a lot better, and you just think to yourself, wow, what's going on here? You know, he played really well up until that point, you know, and Paul wants to take credit for that. It's just to Gethin Jones we can see consistently, because another thing that came to my mind as I heard you guys talking was Brian Barnett, is that his name? Who does he
Yeah.
replace? Gethin Jones or Kane Wilson, who hasn't really played for us? Who does he come in for? And I thought I'd get your
Yeah,
thoughts on that.
I mean, it is. I mean, he's not the only player that there is a bit of that situation for. Because, I mean, of course, Gilby being out and injured, you ask who's he going to come in and replace? Will he
Yeah,
fight and get back into the 11? So it's certainly not limited to where he's going to fit in. So I suppose, I mean, like Paul Warne has said, he's brought in these many players, but also because they've got a different style of play in between themselves, which means we could be a bit more unpredictable as well. So we're not sort of one size fits all. And yeah, so I don't know who he would replace. I guess it just depends on what style of football Paul Warne wants to play on the day.
yeah. I think when it comes to starter play, you can only do what's best on the day as well. A lot of people talk about the MK way, but for me, I just want the way to be about winning games.
Yeah.
I've never really had much time for a certain starter player as long as we win. Yeah, just certain. When I hear certain points, I just think of certain other thoughts that I just want to say as well. As long as we can do what we need to do, that's the main thing. Ultimately, it's about the opponent as well, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know who's going to start, by the way. I couldn't believe Callum Patterson, Nathaniel Mendes-Langer on the bench last Saturday, and
Yeah, I
even
mean,
Jack Sanders. I mean, sorry, the three players we had last season, the team of the season, one left and the other two on the bench. What does that say about Paul Warne?
don't know how much it would say about Paul Warne. I think it just again shows how high of a caliber of players we have, and I mean we can't field them all. So it's I don't know. It's just, will we see Patterson play for Nombe? I probably doubt it because Nombe put in a really good presence. I feel so. It's I don't know. It's just again. I guess it just depends on the situation.
Yeah. I mean, Harry, what are your
Well,
thoughts?
the striker position is strange because I feel like obviously Patterson was on the bench. I think he played the whole of the second half.
Yeah.
But then Hepburn Murphy wasn't on the bench at all, and it just feels like maybe we've got too many strikers.
Strikers?
We got Collins as well. We got a couple youth players, Bramald, Medwinter. We got. I've got a feeling we got one more striker, but I can't think of their name. So
Yeah, well, I mean, to name just a few, we've got Aaron Collins, we've got Sam Nombe, we've got those you mentioned, Nathaniel Mendes Lang, and Rush and Hepburn Murphy as well. And it's worth mentioning, I mean, Rush probably doesn't get as much of a look in, but last time he was in League One, he scored 10 league goals. He scored one more goal than Aaron Collins did last season as well. And Aaron Collins won over the fans and he had injuries, but that's a stat you can't really forget, in my opinion, as well, who scored more goals. And I do like his work rate, so we should look to utilise it. But then you talk about the squad depth, does that show that we've got enough of what we need? Because we need to be aware of Huddersfield attacking threat here, because they look to get back up to the Championship with the third attempt. And we've not had the best record against Huddersfield. We won 3 times, drawn 5, but lost 8 times, and they proved tricky opponents for us. So, the past, don't get me wrong, is well and truly over 10 and a half years ago. And it will, as we say, it will be a different Milton Keynes Storms team in comparison to those other teams. But as motivated as Paul is to have another good season, this is going to be, I'll put it another great test. We need to we're gonna have to wait and see now if we can pass this test. We performed admirably against Oxford United, but given how we conceded late on, we're gonna see now Don's character. Because one thing I do find is after a loss, sometimes it can take more than one game afterwards to find our feet again. How are we going to respond to a last-minute equaliser in the higher league? Are we going to do something similar like we did last season, or are we going to kick on and go even further? Let's hope we can perform, I say, similarly well on Saturdays we did last week and go one better, but only time's going to tell. So we talk about squad depth. Are we going to make the most of it, do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd say we will. I'd say we will. I don't think Paul Warne would bring in these players just for half of them to spend the season on the bench.
When you say that, you've got your please go on.
it's a strange one really because I feel like obviously you saw that bench at the weekend. I feel like it would be a very similar bench. Trozo won't be on the bench, and it will be Barnett instead. But I just feel like we still need more players. Sort of outfield players, sort of one for ring back, midfielder, and then possibly a winger, depending on the ring back we get in. I feel like goalkeeper as well, but then it's like, who do you drop? Who don't you see in the team anymore? That's the only trouble, I think.
Yeah, that's a
I
big
mean,
dilemma.
I definitely agree. We do need to get another keeper in, whether it's our first team choice or a backup keeper,
I would say
because I
back up.
mean, it's still good having, I think Seb Stacey, but I don't quite think he's not. Say if like we had last season, how McGillivray got a concussion and he was out for a couple of games. I feel like
He was out for one game and then a cup game as
yeah,
well, which he was
yeah,
never going to start. So I just wanted to
yeah.
provide a bit of
It
context for
felt
that.
it felt like it felt like he was out for longer, and because it was such a sort of a big impact to just our performances really. So, I mean, of course, all due respect to Seb Stacey, but I think we need to have someone who can put up who's a bit more experienced and has a bit more sort of frequency to playing in the Football League, because I believe he got loaned out to National League sides last season, but
Yeah,
of course,
Worthing.
National League and the EFL are different stories, really.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, Harry, obviously me and Harry, me and you, Harry, we were discussing this earlier. It was Worthing, they've finished top. I don't know how many games he played, but National League South, National League, League Two, League One, that's a big jump. At the same time, I'm not saying anyone in that first team squad is going to do a better job than him as a goalkeeper because that's where he plays. But he's ready for League One. I would say maybe a I mean, look, I could be wrong. To be honest, I'd like to be wrong about this. If Craig does get injured, obviously we all would want to be wrong, but it feels
Mm.
like learning to National League, learning to League Two maybe, or again National League North or South, depending on how many games he played, and then help him build up. I would say, I mean, I've spoken about this before on Facebook. I've spoken about this with you, Harry, as well. I would like to see us sign someone like, for example, Joe Wildsmith, who won the Golden Glove when Pullman got up with Derby in 2024, or even someone like Michael Kelly again, because I think in League Two when Craig went on loan to Stevenage and Philip Marshall, it just wasn't the right club and it just didn't work out for him. I know he's played well
Yeah.
now, but Michael Kelly stepped up. So I would absolutely place my trust in him as a backup and enjoy Wildsmith as a backup as well. I don't think it would be morally fair to drop Craig after how well he did last season. I think he will be disappointed with some of the goals he conceded this season, but it was phenomenal last season. But yeah, I do think there's some good goalkeepers out there. We're looking at the PFA free agent team, I think it is, or I'm not sure, but maybe exactly what it's called. But
Yeah.
there's goalkeepers out there. We need to sign one of them, and those two come to my mind.
Yeah, I feel like unless we sign someone who is miles better than Craig, we shouldn't we shouldn't take his name off the starting 11, because
I
he
agree.
he just he works. He's had a few seasons of almost mistreatment at the club. I mean, albeit, I mean, yes, he was loaned out to Stevenage and he went on a successful campaign with them, but
A
previous
hard
managers
campaign.
just he hasn't been utilised and cared as Paul Warne has.
He's,
Yeah, but I agree with
he,
that.
he said before he felt like he wasted some of his career. He just wants to play football. I feel like with the goalkeeping situation last season, it was quite strong. McGilvray first choice, Truman second, Setford third, and Finch fourth. But now it's
Yeah,
like McGilvray's there, Stacey's there. Obviously, he was there for some of last season, being sort of fourth, fifth choice. But then it's like, who do you see as sort of a third choice keeper? Because last season, obviously, it's Setford, but I don't actually know who the third choice is this season.
I don't think
yeah,
many people know.
no.
Yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
have to agree with that.
I also do agree with you how Michael Kelly is an option. I mean, I mean, of course, I can't say I've kept tabs on Michael Kelly, but I do believe he is still a part of the PFA free agent team.
Yeah, he
So
is.
even if we don't find somebody of a higher caliber, or sort of as a yeah, if all else fails, we can go to him, sign him on till say the end of the season just as a backup,
At least.
assuming that he's still of a decent quality. Because I mean, you don't want to sign too good of a quality, um, because they'll expect to have first team football. I mean, you want players to expect first team football, but again, it just wouldn't be fair to sort of knock Craig off of the team sheet, and you definitely don't want to have a rotational keeper.
Yeah, I don't think in our situation we could do that. I mean, going on Harry's point, Craig said he's that we're lucky. His daughter, he had a second daughter. Well, he had a daughter, and they were settled in the area. Because he did say he feels like waited 2 years of his career. I mean, the first season he was first choice for half the season, went to Stevenage, so he actually at least he could play some football. But I agree that second season, I mean, I don't know what was going through the manager's heads that Craig wasn't to be number one. I mean, to be fair to Connor Truman, and I always remember the first game against Bromley when he saved the penalty, and to be honest, I would say was our best player, but we can't really say he's done that. these goalkeepers have been better than Craig, even though, and Michael Kelly. I mean, another point I want to make about him is that he did once win Player of the Month at Dotton's, our Player of the Month. You know, he's played well. I would, yeah, this is why I keep saying his name, but you know, you always got to wonder to yourself what happened that it took Paul Warren coming in for us to realise how good Craig actually is.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like with the goalkeeping situation, it's always a difficult one because obviously some players can play in multiple positions if they're an outfield player, but with a goalkeeper, there's only one spot at the end of the day, and I've seen it before where a team's had sort of like three first choice keepers. So an example at the moment is Southampton. They've got Daniel Peretz, Aaron Ramsdale, and Gavin Bazzuno. But it's like, you know, they're all going to want to start, but you can't allow them to all start. It's similar with QPR last season. I had Walsh, Hamer, and Nardi, and Nardi wanted first team football, so he's gone to France now. But it's like, and yes, they did rotate the keepers, but it was inconsistent, and they ended up finishing mid-table. It's just about, I think, keeping that consistency of the team, and then sort of getting it, as you say, getting a keeper who is okay being the number two.
Yeah, because I mean, you want to keep the team fresh, but you've got to sort to have let it gel, because it's sort of like how we had with Scott Lindsay. It never felt like he sort of found his team.
Yeah, apart from going 6 games in a row, I remember thinking then, that's it, everything's all sorted now, and then we lose, and yeah, you're right, it just didn't work out, did it? It just, in my opinion, that season we overall the squad when we didn't need to. I took Paul Warren coming in to get the best out of them. But yeah, just make a really good point about that. I think he never found his team, and I just think now we need to find our team. What players would you say need to start tomorrow? Because that's something I really want to ask you guys.
If you want to go first, mate.
I feel like McGillvray needs to start and go over Stacey, and then that's sort of non-negotiable. I feel like Curtis Nelson's quite good. I feel like he's the best centre back out of sort of the four, if you want to consider it. But we've got four sort of first choice centre backs. I feel like Riles has to start. I always like it when former players start against their team. I feel like it's a difficult one. I feel like it will either be one of Patterson or Mendes Lang. I don't think both will start, which is be interesting to see. Depending on the formation, I feel like it'd be a very similar team to Oxford. Similar subs. Hopefully, Dan Crowley gets some minutes. I feel like he's got a good sort of personality, having spoken to him a few times, as well as having spoken to last season squad quite a few times. I feel like if he doesn't get like consistent minutes, like similar to what he did last season, obviously he wasn't a first choice midfielder, but he still got a fair few minutes. I feel like he might end up leaving, and I feel like then because Kelly's left and Collar's left, then we sort of need more midfielders. Despite obviously last weekend, I was quite impressed with Dan Barrister and Ryan Wintle.
Ryan Winter's a must start for me. I can see why Cardiff voted him as their best player last season. Well, Cardiff fans anyway. I can see why he got player of the season. Jamie, who do you think should start? In your opinion, if you had to name a few players.
Yeah, so I say we're gonna name a relatively unchanged 11 from last week. So McGillivray in goal, of course, and then I reckon Good because he scored a goal, and he put in a shift. Really, he's definitely going to stay. And like Harry has said, Nelson is one of the best of our centre backs, so he's definitely going to play. Now, I don't know how much Ekpiteta. I say either Ekpiteta or Sanders. I can't remember too much about Sanders, but I mean, I don't know. It's going to be one of the two. Dan Barlaser, he picked up man of the match against Oxford. So I would, him, Wintle, Miles. Again, I like playing players against their former clubs because I know in our instance it definitely comes back to bite. Like how when we played Cambridge at home and Sully Kai, albeit it took, quite frankly, he took 2 points away from us, or he scored the consolation goal, one of the two, and it was an absolute screamer.
Yeah, it was 2 points away from us. We were leading that game, and I remember that was a good goal. I think, did he score in the reverse in the following fixture as well? Did he score their goal in the 1-1 at their place, or was that somebody else?
Um,
I'm gonna have to check
I can't
now.
remember whether he scored against us when we went away.
I thought he did.
Well,
Yeah.
another example of that is Will Grigg last season.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. God, that was.
I was so
that
convinced
was a
that we'd
shame.
blown it then. I was so convinced we'd blown it then. There was at work just seeing that we'd lost those 2 points.
Yeah, I wasn't too pleased about that. But yeah, and then
Nah, it wasn't Sully Kandi in the following fixture. I thought it was.
no,
But yeah, go on. And then
it'd be Curran Bramwell and Gethin Jones as sort of the wingers or wing backs. I do agree that Barnett from Wrexham definitely ends up on the bench. I'd say even if we don't start him. And then because Collins actually scored, I'd say he's kept his place in the team for another week, and hopefully it's a good sign of things to come, of a good season for him, because he didn't have too good of a season last season. I mean, albeit of course he was injured, but he, again, in the games he played, there wasn't necessarily too much. Of course, he salvaged us a point from Cambridge, so he at the same time he did play a good part into the season, but not as much as probably we would have liked. So I'd say League One is definitely going to be more his level, like when we played Oxford in the FA Cup. It proves that he thrives under almost a better quality of football, and which is a bit more technical and sort of a less physical game. Because one thing that I definitely pointed out on Saturday was that you could, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there wasn't a yellow card handed out until the second half. And in League Two, by the second half, you've got about one or two already handed out. So you can certainly tell the difference. And then I'd say Sam Nombe. I mean, he showed a real physical presence and a real threat up front. So I'd say he's definitely gonna play as well. And Pato will come on as a sub again.
so that's really interesting, actually. I mean, Sam Norman needs a goal for me. I agree with a lot of what you guys have said. Obviously, look, Craig in goal, that goes without saying. The defense, Marvin Ekpiteta has to start, I think. I also wouldn't mind Jack Sanders starting. But then to be fair, Corin Bramall, Charlie Good, Daniel Bardasa, they played well. The thing with Marvin is when he got his yellow card, you could see it affected him. He didn't want to come off. Like, well, when I say come off, he didn't want to be sent off. And I think we needed to make that sub earlier than we did. Jack Sanders is a really good player. He runs through a brick wall for the team. I don't mean this
Absolutely.
literally, but you could throw a brick at him and he will head it out if he could. That's the effort he puts into this team. So I don't mind him starting. Gethin Jones, it's a tough one. Take Oxford Equaliser out, and he is his best game for the club. So I don't mind if he plays like that. Ben Wells, Ryan Wintle goes without saying in a way. I'd start them. Aaron Collins, good to see him get off the mark. Thing with Sam Nombe is, like I say, he needs a goal. I wouldn't be averse to at least one of Callum Patterson or Nathaniel Mendez-Lang starting, because I think they are two of our best players, and they've been there and they've got out of League One. They've played in the second tier. I think they might have even played in the Premier League. I think at least Nathaniel Mendez-Lang has. Actually, I think they both have. Yeah, I think they both played for
They both
Cardiff
did
in the
at
Premier
Cardiff,
League.
yeah.
Yeah,
2018.
yeah,
I feel
exactly what I was thinking. So we got good players in there, and I think they're just players that I just want to see us starting in a way, and then maybe I think you know what, right? I'm gonna throw a span in the works here. Is that the saying? I wouldn't mind one of them two, Adam Patson and Daniel Mendes Lang, starting over Sam Nombe. Sam Nombe comes off the bench, and maybe that can motivate him to get the goal because he's put the
Sort
effort
of do an
in.
Ellis Harrison and see how he comes under the sub.
Yeah, yeah, and then maybe that could be what he needs because we don't know where the back of the net is, but so do those two players.
Mm.
So there's going to be competition there. And I haven't even mentioned Russian Hepburn Murphy as well, who I wouldn't mind again seeing come off the bench and doing something similar because if they score one goal now, just imagine the world of good that does for them.
Yeah,
And I think,
mean,
I think Aaron
if
Collins will have that now.
if Mendes had just taken a shot against the keeper and not have passed it off, I mean, we could be here right now saying we won 3-1 or 3-2.
Yeah,
So he had the opportunity to put the nail in the coffin. It's just he's got to be able to take these chances efficiently. So I wouldn't be against Mendes starting on the weekend. I just feel like potentially, I don't know. I do agree with you, but I think if we are going to do what we played on over the last weekend, which was a 3-1-4-2, I would rather see Patterson play and sort of give him the opportunity from the start over Mendes.
maybe so. Harry,
Well,
any thoughts on that?
yeah. What did you think last season when there was a few games without Mendes Lang and Patterson playing?
I think Aaron Collins stepped up in Callum Patterson's absence, to be fair. But after the
Yeah,
Barda game, it wasn't the same.
yeah. Aaron Collins definitely did quite well, and I believe what's it, Russian Hepburn Murphy also stepped in a bit.
Yeah.
He tried his best. I think it was almost he was sort of put into a more physical side of football potentially. He played well against Warsaw, but he sort of took the back bench against Cambridge. Um, so I think he's good to abuse his pace, sort of like the main, who I believe will do a really good job with Rotherham this season. But yeah, I'd say Rush is definitely more of a quick player than say Pato, who you can sort of get onto a centre back and push them through to create a gap.
Well, let's hope we can make the most of it then.
Do you think?
Guys, yeah, go on.
Do you think Nombe is a massive improvement on Hogan?
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't think that was really a question. Now, I mean, Hogan,
Not
I don't.
necessarily last season, but the season before. You know, when it was a struggling team, he's to me he sort of still stood out a bit.
That's a fair point, to be
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't got massive respect for the player. He hadn't had the best relationship with the fans, and I feel like he gave it a go, but he never sort of really found it in a sense.
Yeah.
Off to a good start, though. That's for sure. Right, guys. Any final thoughts?
Not particularly. I just, yeah, sort of got
Right.
to see how the match goes. It's not one you can sort of put a for definite on, and yeah.
Right, you, Harry. Any final thoughts?
No, I think hopefully get the 3 points and hopefully it's a good atmosphere.
Yeah. I'm half tempted to ask for predictions, but I don't want it to be we do prediction, then we lose, and then we look like we've jinxed it. I want to be honest, like I say, I've not got the best feeling, but I think we'll give them a good game. I think that's it from my side as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We all really appreciate it. Thanks for Jamie, Harry coming on, guys. I appreciate it so much. I really do. And yeah, let's go for it tomorrow. Let's go one better. If it helps, last time we beat Huddersfield Town, so too were Spain world champions, and so too was it a year that Spain did win a major trophy in an international men's football tournament. So let's hope that's something to go by. But guys, no, seriously, really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Let's have a great game tomorrow, let's hopefully pick up our first win this season and in our first home game. If you like what you've seen, if you like what you've heard, please subscribe and share the video. And please, as always, let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you agree with what we've said? Have we missed anything? Anything that you think we should have said, or have we just said something that you guys completely disagree with? I want to hear your thoughts down below. But yeah, that's it from us. Please make sure to share, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and comment your thoughts. And yeah, up the Dons.